No. Like, this is actually what League of Legends should be, and it should be what G2 is doing. Please, rest of the world, please try to do what G2 is doing. Hey everyone, I'm Phreak, and this is Ultimate List presented by Omen. Today we're going to rank some of the most creative strategies ever seen in League of Legends. Let's get started. Alright, Garen-Yuumi, Ballistic Missile Yuumi. Personally, I thought the kind of thing was really cool. I personally played a bunch of Singed Yuumi with friends around this time as well, because I thought it was just kind of interesting to play around. My recollection is that they didn't actually win that many games with this. Like, they tried it for a while, and then by the time Worlds came around, they're like, just kidding, this sucks, we're gonna play AD carries instead. But I thought it was really sweet. I'm a mage bot enjoyer. I'm a go play a frag you support enjoyer. I think this stuff's really cool. So I think just kind of exciting overall. I mean, good on Fnatic for playing something unorthodox. Good on them for making it work as long as they could. Good on them for realizing when it stopped working. Yeah, I think this is great. I'm gonna put this as a solid A tier to start because I think this is the kind of stuff that I personally look forward to a lot when playing and looking at League of Legends. Oh, this one easily trumps Zone of Taric. Zone of Taric is I mean, it's also good, don't get me wrong, right? But oh yeah, we're gonna double spell thieves or whatever. It's yeah, I don't know, that one's fine. It's, it's a totally solid bot lane. I know where you're doing it. I understand the synergies there. It's pretty solid, but at least you see both Sona and Taric in bot lane already. You understand they're good in this kind of lane, in this kind of role. And you're still basically playing them both as supports. You're just using spell thieves and double enchanters to make your team better. And that's I don't know, it's less unique, it's less inventive than actually no, we're playing AP Yuumi and she's gonna hang out on top of a Garen who's gonna make her be able to go wherever she wants. And also Garen in bot lane, just we don't see that champion in that role at all. So I mean, I think this one is an order of magnitude more interesting and more creative than something like Zone of Taric. Taric Yi funnel. Oh man. Okay, so I will reiterate that I enjoy creative strategic gameplay. I understand players do not like playing against funnel, and they really didn't like Taric Yi. To be fair, the gameplay quality of this is really poor. It is literally impossible, I think, to dodge Taric stun plus Master Yi Q. He's untargetable for about half the duration where you're channeling Taric ult. There's no counterplay. I understand that. However, really cool. So the tough thing is wow, what a neat combination. Nice problem solving, cool stuff there. One combo I personally wish players would actually do and they never have is Morgana Kayle Yi, because Kayle ult means you can't break Black Shield, so you literally cannot peel this champion. I wish people would do it more. I think it's super cool. Regardless, this one, problem is I need to call it either C tier or ironic Z tier because the gameplay quality is kind of miserable. We're gonna start with C. I might change it later on, but it checks the creativity box. It does not check the passes the gameplay part box. Well, I know at the very beginning, this is F tier automatically. There's no way around this. Yes, that's very cool. You are playing AD carries as supports. This was probably my single least favorite pro metagame. I mean, congrats on the kills. Good job. Exciting that people are playing lane bullies. I mean, pro tends to always play lane bullies a bunch, but this was a point in time where we had recently buffed early game champion durability, and it meant that all-ins weren't possible. The only way to get kills was to have a kind of long duration fight like this, where it's yeah, it's 12 auto attacks or whatever. Turns out AD carries are really good at putting 12 auto attacks down the line, especially when they can dash after every single right click, right? And so these extremely severe turbo early game just stomp you in lane, because if you're Leona or Pyke or Thresh or Nautilus or whatever, you cannot one-shot me, I'm too tanky. If you play an Enchanter, that's cute, you're playing an Enchanter, you don't right-click as well as me, I'm just going to play an AD carry and I'm just going to run all over you. The sad thing about this is I would have even hated this if it was only in pro play, but there's a really consistent mindset, at least from a minority of vocal players, who were if it's in pro play, it must be optimal in all forms of League of Legends forever. It's well, actually, no, pros are way more coordinated and way better at closing out games than you are. And so pros can use we would theoretically beat you 2-on-2 advantage to play that advantage forward for 12 minutes and actually have it be good. That's not true in solo queue. Yeah, sure, challenger solo queue players will just fight you for no reason and still dive the early game champions, but challenger solo queue players also suck at closing out games. It's just people and lose. And then in lower elos, it's impossible. No one can close out games appropriately. It doesn't matter. So it's the kind of thing where, again, part of me is like, well, it's cool that pros do unique strategies. Isn't that kind of nice? But also the fact that, like, the game just kind of looks wrong when your bot lane is Draven Kalista, which admittedly, yeah, absolutely no. And the funny thing is, this was like right when I started on the design team as well. So it's like, hi, welcome to live design. By the way, Kalista supports a thing in pro play. It's like, we gotta fix this now. Yeah, it was an experience. I think we're in a better state now. I think, you know, I've been learning more about, like, you know, exactly what inputs you need to care about for champions and lane dynamics and whatnot, because I have to, like, actually tune that stuff now. But yeah, this was I think easily my least favorite, like, bit of pro metagame. This is an easy Z tier user. If you use Z tier, this is the tier for you. This is horrible. Alrighty, here we are. Level 6 Nocturne at 5 minutes. My favorite. Oh, he's here. What's up? The taunt flash, just to guarantee he gets it. And then the fear, yeah, that's a flash of Reckless. Man, this was so cool. I mean, funny is we've actually seen him do this several times now. I think really recently we had him on Karthus also get power leveled and get level 6 early. But this was cool. Like this was a, like, you know, small, like, quasi funnel onto the Nocturne. Obviously we're already post 6 at this point, so he's kind of waiting for the play. And he's like, it's going on. Here we go. I got a Galio, and yeah, I mean, just slams him. Looks like we're in a lane swap game. Oh, right, part of this is lane swaps, right? So, you know, 0 CS on the Maokai, pretty much 0 CS on the Galio as well. Yeah, I mean, this is just, you know, part of this is lane swaps, right? And unfortunately, this was the boring part of lane swaps. This is the part of lane swaps that I'm kind of glad. I know they were already, I think, gone for regular play at this point in time. I think GAM did it specifically to, like, have this thing going on. And really interesting, right? It's like you've got these long stretched out lanes, you've got really awkward timing. It's often pretty easy to track the enemy jungler in a swap because you just have so much, like, safety to deep ward, or because of vertical jungling, you know where they have to be at all times. And so power jungling the Nocturne at 6 and then just, like, getting a random free kill. I mean, definitely interesting, definitely cool, right? Pretty creative, like, pretty sweet overall. At the end of the day, it's, you know, a sort of short-term funnel, which I think is, you know, neat and everything, but not super exciting. I'm trying to think how I would rate it against Phreak. I mean, Phreak, I would say, is more creative. Phreak is also, like, way worse for the game. So I think I put Nocturne quasi-funnel above this. Part of this is because Levi's just a really good player and it's fun watching him play. I know it's, like, kind of being biased here. I think it's a solid B tier. Like, this is a solid, like, decently creative. Like, this champion is specifically good at getting 6 early. I think definitely solid B tier play. All right, funnel is back. Man, Pyke, I know Pyke mid caused a lot of issues for people down the line. Yep, okay, you're... Yeah, of course, he's barrier TP, so of course he's not gonna get away from that one. I mean, this is cool, right? This is again, it's the some positive, some negative. Hey, by the way, Perks is playing Smite AD carries so we can funnel and take jungle camps. Hey, Yankos is not actually jungling, he's playing Morgana. Hey, Caps is playing Pyke because, yeah, I understand. I mean, there's a bunch of really weird stuff here. We technically got, I mean, I don't know if it's actually Morgana mid, theoretically, but, I mean, so I really appreciate the creativity of moving your players around in various roles. I really appreciate the creativity of, like, okay, well, we want to funnel, or who's a good champion to funnel alongside? Okay, well, Pyke's a good champion to funnel alongside, because he doesn't scale with gold anyway. Just let him do nothing. This guy's unlocked whatever he wants. Let him roam. That makes sense too. Let him go play for the Morgana. Let him go play for the Xayah. That'll make sense too. Okay, cool stuff here. And personally, I enjoyed that. Like, what is his team comp? Ryze, Morgana, Pyke, Xayah, Rakan versus a Sonateric bot lane and other random stuff. Like, I think this stuff is really cool. I think it's really interesting. I like the creativity. I find it very, very exciting personally. The downside, though, is what's going on. Well, they're Giga funneling Xayah, which is, like, actually not that good for the game. It's just, I don't know, it breaks down some parts of how the game actually works. You're playing Morgana roll swapping, yeah, whatever, not a big problem here. Is Morgana kind of soloing bot sometimes? Cool, that's really clever. You're, like, playing around your 1v2s and picking a champion who's good at 1v2ing. Pretty sweet, awesome, cool choices here. I think it's really neat. Yeah, aside from Xayah being funneled here, I think it's super sick. Being funneled, you know, brings it down a tier for me, but I think it's actually, like, way more interesting than the Phreak stuff. I think it's, like, way more clever. So, I know I put Phreak in C. I'm gonna go at least A tier. Again, I would put an S if it weren't for Xayah funnel, but I really hate funnel. Do I like it more than Garen-Yuumi then is the question, because I mean it's more creative than Garen-Yuumi, but I have to give it like a minus a point because of funnel, just because I know it's good, I understand, I just hate it for the game, so I'm gonna leave it at the bottom of A tier. I think pretty much hands down G2 is the most creative team in League of Legends Esports history. I'm sure there are several teams who have done some really cool one-off stuff before, but I can't think of a team that has done it consistently and successfully to the level of G2. I just don't think it's close. There's actually why I know this is some people's like favorite call. It's like when they won MSI 2019, and I was like, this is what peak League of Legends looked like, and it comes from Europe.
This is what peak League of Legends looks like, and it comes from Europe.
This was because G2 did not just play normal League of Legends. They did their own thing. They were very inventive. Yes, the finals have been mostly just hard stomping Team Liquid, but it's like the reason they got there by winning in Europe and then, you know, doing well in group stage and then winning in quarters or semis and then winning in finals is because G2 played G2 League of Legends. And it's like, look, if I can in some small way inspire more people to try to play like G2 and think outside the box like G2, then I will do what I can here. And so, like, you know, it's easy to be hyped and be like, this team is really good, go for them. But it's like, no. Like, this is actually what League of Legends should be, and it should be what G2 is doing. Please, rest of the world, please try to do what G2 is doing. So I'm forever a G2 fan for the like types of things they have done, because that is what really inspires me about the game. And so, you know, gotta give them their credit. All right, so ethical misfortune support, I think is super cool. There's a stun. Yet you're getting combo. Goodbye. See you, nerd. Yeah, you're not living. Yeah, this is super cool. So the context around this world is so funny because for a while, like, this has been kind of, you know, back and forth for a while, right? It's like, for a while, like, oh yeah, you know, mage supports aren't viable. You can't play mage supports. You know, they've had really high winners in solo queue for a long time, off and on, but like, people didn't really feel like they needed to try to play lane bullies that often, or at least not like the really like zero, like low utility lane bullies, like the mages, the Zyras, the Heimerdiggers, whatnot. And finally, by like, it seemed like the Korean teams all said, okay, well, at quarterfinals, we'll finally show that this champ is good. They like refused to play Zyra even though they knew it was good, because they're like, well, we're just gonna win group stage anyway. And of course they're right. Like, 2 Korean teams ever have like failed to get out of groups, right? It's like they didn't need it. And of course these guys meet. It's like, well, hey. So of course SKT showed that they are playing Zyra, and Rock Tiger's like, we have to find an answer. And I know there's an interview, I forget all the details, but I think like they had almost no practice on this pick, but there's a really clever interaction, which is that Misfortune E will one-shot Zyra plants, which isn't a huge deal, but like it helps because those things have so much range that like just life is difficult and it's hard to get rid of them. So there's just, you know, strictly positive upside to having some way to easily deal with it. So that was kind of cool. The other was like, yeah, you just combo hard CC, which only exists on like Ashe and Varus at this point in time, basically, with MF ult, and you just like will kill the Switch champion in your role. And there's no tank to punish you. There's really no way to be aggressive, so that like the extreme weaknesses of MF support just are not pronounced here. I maintain MF support is not and has not ever actually been very good. Generically, this champion is very weak as a support because she provides very, very little that other supports don't provide better. Obviously, MF support's pick rate spiked a ton when this happened. Her winner is like 44% or something because she's not actually good, but she's specifically good with hard CC into a double squishy lane that cannot punish you. Like, if there was a Pyke, you would get eaten alive, obviously. Blitzcrank could get eaten alive. But this is really cool. Like, this is a really, really, really clever, you know, solid counter pick. It's thinking outside the box. It's coming up with a really clever idea that works here. It certainly immediately affected regular solo queue, which I found pretty funny overall. But yeah, I love this. This is like the exact kind of smart individual team, individual player prep that I really enjoy. I think this is super sick. I think this is really, really clever. I think this is really, really good. I'm happy they did this. I'm happy it worked. I think it's just super sweet. So gotta give them their credit. This was super awesome. As for ranking it, man, I'm feeling bad that I don't have like any like full S tiers here. But I don't think just picking MF is S tier. I do think it's A. And I mean, in terms of like, hey, you know, they picked Garen and chose to build AP on Yuumi. Okay, it's pretty clever. Okay, you switched a lot of players around and, you know, funneled your AD carry. It's like, well, you actually, in the span of 1 week, came up with a strong counter matchup that required getting banned. I mean, top of A tier, I think. Individual champion pick by itself, I still don't think it's quite enough for S. Like, my bar is just too high. But I think top of A tier is completely reasonable for, on 1 week's notice, getting MF support ready to go. So I think you know, of the plays, I think this is number one. One that stood out to me that I really enjoyed, because again, I'm so keen on individual team prep. And so it's like basically almost tied with this right here, which is, I think it was CLG's first LCS win against TSM. And the context was like, CLG's huge underdogs. TSM is expected to win because they're TSM, they're just the best team still. The way that CLG manicured champ select is I don't remember the exact details, but they knew Darius's champ pool was like 3 or 4 champions. And what they were able to do was pin him down to picking exactly Gnar and playing Yasuo as a top lane counter pick into it. And I believe Yasuo was a takeaway as well as a flex pick for top mid. So what I believe they did was they banned away a bunch of Darius's champion pool, grabbed Yasuo early. I think they predicted it was going to be mid lane, and they threw it top lane as a Gnar counter pick, which then also denied like some of Reginald's champion pool or Bjergsen's champion pool. That just like worked really, really well. It was just like it's such a great champ select architecture because it means you basically said, okay, well, you have one of your players, instead of you being like this solid rock for your team is going to do really well overall and going to like to a victory, we're going to make this like a really miserable matchup where one of our carry players is going to just kind of take you down, and we're going to like just force ourselves into a counter matchup because we know what your pool is, we know what we can pick against it. And like getting almost triple duty from the Yasuo by it being a counter, by it being a champion they can just play themselves, and by being a takeaway was like, wow, that's a really, really, really clever draft. And to me, it's like almost more clever than just we picked MF and a Zyra and we learned it. Like that's coming out of nowhere and like really clever also as well. But the like amount of heavy lifting that pick did, I think, was really, really cool. So, and of course, the historical context of leading to CLG's first victory, like all, you know, really fun stuff there as well. So kind of a lot adds up to that one. Thanks so much for watching this episode of Ultimate List presented by Omen. Let me know how I did in the comments below, and I'll see you later.